Hello, my name is Denis Zubov and I'm working as a developer at FastReport. In this video I want to talk about FastReport in MultiThird application. So what's so special about multithreading? I don't want to go deep into explanation of multithread advantages. There are a lot of materials and articles about it, but it's worth to mention that these days we have a hardware which already can execute code parallel and runs it faster. Imagine that in the same amount of time your application built 4 reports instead of 1. And what if you are developing a serial application which should work on a cluster? These days we are calling them clouds. In this case, the more your application can process separately, the better performance you will get. Let's have a look more closer. That's how typical single-thread application looks. We see reports model here because I'm still talking about FastReport, but of course it can be anything, any data process method. So what we can see here? Our application runs in the main single thread, and when user interacts with user interface, our data processing module receives some messages, retrieve ASCII data from the database. As we are running in a single thread, we need to synchronize user interface by using process messages here, pass the data to the report engine and build the report. And in the end, it will show the data to the user. Well, when we show only one report per time, this single-thread application should fit our needs. But even here we can split a DB connection and data processing to the different threads. But if we need to build several reports and show them in a multi-window application, in this case user will wait every previous report to build completely. That's where multi-thread application should improve the work. The idea is to split data processing and report building to the separate thread. That allows us to build several reports separately. That sounds good, but you can ask, can FastReport work with different threads? What to do with global variables and other things that FastReport use for single-thread architecture? Of course it can, but we need to do some preparation and let FastReport knows that it works inside thread. For this, FastReport has a set of properties. Let's have a look more closer at these properties. First of all, we have to disable user interface elements and set FastReport show progress property to false. After, FastReport should know that it's working inside thread. For this we can set FastReport engine options enable thread safe to true. This method disables any process messages synchronization and set report component to works in a thread. When FastReport engine option silent mode property set to true, report engine will not throw any exceptions during report execution. If during report execution there are some changes in objects, for example, like we can see here, changes in object position inside the report script, that you need to remember that during next operation, if the property FastReport engine option destroying form set to false, report template will already be modified and it will need to be reloaded or to use FastReport engine option destroy forms set to true. But during renew you can't use interactive reports from the threads because scripts objects are deleted after renew. That's why in some cases it's efficient to use FastReport engine options destroying forms set to false and renew the report template on your own during the next building cycle. Also, there is one important thing to understand. FastReport uses GlobalList for registration of TFRIX DB dataset component. You can ask here GlobalList why. Let's imagine a situation when we have several data modules with TFRIX DB dataset components, and on the main form we have a TFRIX report component, and FastReport component should see all of these datasets. To make this possible, we are using global list of datasets. It works good with a RatesToDo component model in a single sort, but not with MultiThird application. For example, we want to create two thirds. In each third we create a report from code, and for every TFRIX DB dataset component instance we are using the same name of TFRIX DB dataset component. What will happen here? When application run two or more thirds, every third will use registered TFRIX DB dataset component from the global list. It will be a first component with the same name, because engine links datasets by name, and all others thirds will get data from it. So we can have incorrect results in all other thirds. To avoid that, we have to set FastReport engine options, use global dataset list to false, and disable global list. But in this case we have to pass datasets manually to report engine. To do that we have to use FastReport enable datasets add method and pass TFRIX DB dataset to the report before loading report template. Now we know most of the properties to make FastReport work in a MultiThird application, and we can take a look at MultiThird example which I prepared for this presentation and see all methods I described. To build this example I used FastReport which comes with RatesToDo, so if you want to run this example you don't need to download or buy anything. You can use a standard FastReport which comes with RatesToDo IDE. Let's check the code. First of all, I want to show you my third class. Here we have a report dataset list, FRX dataset list, file name of the report, export filters list, and some other properties which I described before during this presentation. So what most important of this class? Of course it's a report file name, because we need to receive a file name which we want to load in the report component. Report properties, connection string to database. I want to create a data connection inside the third, and a list with the names of tables I want to use inside this third. All initialization we doing in the init procedure of the third. We need core initialize because I'm using ADO tables. I need to initialize COM ActiveX model. Then we create a report, set show progress to false to disable user interface, set silent mode to true. We don't want to see an exception messages. File and picture cache I will describe a bit later. Pass destroy forms variable and set enable third safe property. Also we disable our global dataset list and use add FRX datasets which create NIDO tables and TFRXDB dataset components and add it to our list in a third. Later in load procedure we clear our datasets and pass available datasets to enable dataset list and load our report, just like I described before. Now we can see at our execute method of our third. All it's do is initialize our report and other components, call synchronize method with form interface, load report and prepare report, and then if we set a count of preparation more than 1, we build this report several times, maybe export it, and after that do synchronization after finalization of our work in a third. And that's all. We can see also export report procedure. We have several parameters like export our report to FP3 standard FastReport preview format, to PDF, RTF, TXT, CSV, JPG, HTML, and at the finalization we destroy our components. That's basically all we need to do. In init, as you can see, we also make initialization of export filters. We should create our all components inside the third. Now we're ready to see how this demo works. We need to select report we want to print and dataset to use. Let's check simple report and let's have a look what will happen if I don't pass a dataset to our report. As you can see, we have an error message that dataset doesn't exist. So now we need to pass a usage dataset, and let's have a look how it works. So we can see our search running. Now we can build a few reports. Split bands use a BioLife dataset, so we need to select it too and start few more reports. As you can see, our thirds works fine. Also we can try to export two different formats. Let's have a look at our output so we can see our exported reports. Now let's talk a bit about big reports, about caching of reports. Imagine a situation when you have a really big report with a lot of pages, a lot of data, and you're still running on Win32 system, so you're limited of system memory which your application can access. So let's run this simple demo. This is a pretty simple example of list report which just repeats many times and generate a lot of report pages. I forgot to select customer dataset, so now we need to wait till our thirds it's all memory. We can see that our application eats a lot of memory, so let's wait a bit till we get out of memory. message. So here we go. We got a out of memory message because we reached 2 GB of memory for 32-bit application. So what we can do to avoid this message? For this, FastReport has a use file cache property. Let me show you where this property locates. It's FastReport engine options use file cache. This property tells FastReport that we need to use file cache instead of memory cache. Now let's run our report. I also want to export to PDF. Now we can see that it's almost doesn't eat memory, but of course it has less performance. Now we will wait till our application done and have a look at exported PDF files. The job is done, and now we can check on output results. We have a PDF file with a lot of pages. So it's a pretty big report. Another option is to use a picture cache. Picture cache can be used when your report has a lot of images, objects. I have a report which generates a random image and print it. Let's run this report with use file cache. If you remember, use file cache can be used only to cache objects, not pictures. Let's have a look what results we will get. As we can see, our application starts consume a lot of memory, and we already has out of memory in 1/3. If we make a few more thirds, we can get it a lot faster. As you can see, almost every third has out of memory. So to avoid out of memory error with reports which has a lot of images inside, we can use a picture cache. Let's run this test application. If you go into temp folder, we will see that FastReport creates temp files for picture caches, and we can actually open our exported reports now, as we don't have out of memory error. As you can see, it's random images, lots of images. So basically, FastReport allows us to build a very complicated multi-third application. It can be a server application, it can be some kind of scheduler. If you remember, I mentioned a multi-window application when we can build different reports in different threads and update it in the report preview. Let's try to do so. I need to increase repeat count. I want every third update every report and show our preview window. Now we can run our application and have a look what we see. As we can see, every third updates every report 100 times, and that's why we see switching between tabs. Of course, you can set a lower update time, but I only wanted to show you the idea that it's actually works, that you actually can build one preview and build reports in different threads and output them to the preview window. What else can we build with using a multi-third architecture? Of course, it's a server application. Here I have another example for you. It's not a FastReport enterprise component. It uses a standard FastReport component, and I built a simple server application using a Indie HTTP server component. So what exactly this application does? We have a few folders. One folder contains a database, another using for HTML docs. It contains HTML documents which FastReport use as template to output report list. We have a variable here which we replace inside our application. We have another folder with reports and folder for sessions. The application is pretty simple. It fills a report list from report folder, connect to the dataset, and main work we do on command jet event of HTTP server event. In this event we prepare an HTML answer for HTTP request. Now we can run this simple application. Run our server. I'm opening a web browser and try to connect to localhost. So here we go. We see our reports list. We can open a customer reports, memos and picture reports, or for example a simple test report with a barcode. So basically, let's have a look what this application does. As I said, it's generate a answer on command jet event. We load a HTML template from HTML docs folder, search for server variable and replace it with generated reports list. Later we pass parameters. If we has built parameters with a report name, we create a report instance, create a database, set connection to the database, link it to TFRXDB dataset component, load our report, prepare it and export it to HTML to the session folder and pass it as a request to client. So as you can see, it's a very simple basic application, but we can already use it. Connect to this from our web browser, build a new reports. We can make a new report, for example, or change existed report. For example, I want to change memos and pictures. Let's make another font for this memo and set a different color. I want to save it as a new report. Let's it be memos and pictures too. Now I run my application. I don't do anything else to make it works in the application code, and connect to my server. We can see new report here, and we can see this exactly what I did with my report. So this is how you can actually build a very basic client server application without using FastReport Enterprise version. You can build a server application with a standard FastReport version, which comes with a RatesToDo IDE, and that's how you can use a multi-third architecture. So that's basically all you need to know to build a multi-third application, to know how to use FastReport in a multi-third application, to how to build a simple server application. Thank you for watching our presentation. I hope you found it interesting for you. I want to thank our partner Embarcadero for great webinar sessions. If you have any questions, you can ask them during question part of webinar. I will be here to answer them. Thank you.
Okay, this is David. Let me bring in Denis. Let's see. Excellent. Okay, great to have you with us. Great presentation. To me, reporting is something, you know, when I think about all the applications that developers build, whether it's desktop, client server, multi-tier, reporting is always, you know, there's data input with all the nice user interface, user experience forms, but then, and updating databases, processing database, but then reports are right there. 90% of what we do is process data, input data, process data, report on data. So I think it's great, fast reports and all the things that you can do. I also like the generating, you know, it fits nicely in the world of generating reports, what you showed, and then having those reports visualized in many ways. Usually, sometimes we think about printing reports, but in these electronic and online world days, PDF files, bringing them over into generated HTML in a report format like you showed. Do you find, Denis, that more of the FastReport developer customers are generating reports that are online like this versus printing them out on still the old school paper? Is there a pattern there?
Sometimes, but I know that some of our customers want to print reports even from a mobile device, so you need to print from Android to mobile printer. So
okay, so it's
hard to say which way who prefer.
Yeah, so it's still so maybe it's still a paper world. I don't know. I have paper, but I love looking. To me, the bringing the browser up and looking at a report just seems natural. It's not like I'm, you know, because we use the browsers to to do other things like searching for stuff and so on. But again, I understand too. Especially, I think mobile is a good point where you're out in the field, you're doing some things, you're somewhere, but somebody back at the office needs a report, or maybe you're on your mobile system and you're getting ready to go in a meeting, and so I can understand that as well. I just, you know, someday the paper world should end, but that's just me. Are there any developer issues that we have to think about if we want to work in a multi-threaded world or a multi-device world? Is there any special best practices that developers should think about?
With FastReport, do you mean?
Yeah, with FastReport, for example.
That's basically all you need to know to make FastReport work in a multi-thread application, which I showed in this presentation. So it's as you can see, it's very easy to do.
Okay, and then and what the other thing I think that was great for this track and for the other track as well is that you can design your reports. You can use those reports in a C++ application, BCL application, a FireMonkey application, Delphi application. That's what they're doing in the other track. So you have there's no limitations to what you can do using the C++ language, is there?
Yeah, there is no limitation. We had one bug with an FMX version before with extended type, because Delphi extended type and C++ extended type with OS X platform has a different length of type, so it will be difficult. But we moved to, for FMX version, we moved to real type, so there is no problem now.
Okay. Okay. So everyone, if you have questions for Denis or questions about reporting or this presentation, you can put them in the Q&A log. It was, for me, it was just very clean, as you mentioned, very simple to do, and whether it's a single thread or multi-thread, things just work, and that's great. I always hate surprises when I have to move something I'm doing and do something in a multi-threaded type world. Sometimes there's some gotchas you have to worry about, synchronizing things or blocks happening with threads, but it's a really good thing. I also think about, in the world of querying data, you'd like to have the user, especially, I think Olaf was saying this on the previous session, when you're on a mobile device, you're just used to things happening, even if there's, you're waiting for data or you're waiting for a report to be processed or printed or whatever. You want to be doing some other things in your application. So having that responsiveness by doing things in threads was what we also talked about in the previous session. So it was great to have these back-to-back. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Denis, before we end this session?
We have all examples on our site, so anyone can download it and run it with a version which comes with Embarcadero. So if you want, I can put a link in the chat.
That would be great. All right, so everyone, Denis is just putting that, and I'll grab it and put it. Oh, if I can get it. Okay, so there's that. Let me bring up a browser. Okay, my first browser. Where did it go? Okay. All right. Not that one.
Also, as usual, we have a discount for Code Rage. So for all of our products, you can get a 20% discount till this week, during this week. I can also put this link in the chat.
That'd be great. Okay, I'm bringing up that. So again, in the chat window, okay, here we go. Let me put that up. Okay, so that's in the chat window. You have the link there, and so here on the fast-report.com/en/promo Code Rage, you'll see discount pricing with these little click-throughs. Yep, that's showing up on the screen as well. So just you can click in the chat. Well, let me. I have to also put it here. So that's everyone in the audience. Oh, maybe I pasted it twice. Sorry, but you'll see there. Let me. So it's both in the chat window, the Q&A log, the special promo for Code Rage. Well, okay, Denis, thank you so much for this session. I love everything that you and the team at FastReport are doing, both with FastReport, FastCube, and everything. I should also mention that the FastReport VCL and FireMonkey is also part of the RAD Solution Pack, RatesToDo Solution Pack. So if you want versions of FastReports and Schema's T-charts and Kanopka signature controls, check out the RAD Solution Pack. Otherwise, go right to FastReports. We have the Embarcadero editions that are in part of the install in 10 Seattle, but then if you want to upgrade to the full product, and especially now with the Code Rage discount, just go right to FastReport's website. One of the things I like, and I don't get paid to do this, but when you click on the Buy button, they have this great order assistant, and it just steps you through what you're looking for. Are you looking for VCL, for example? Okay. Or if you're looking for FireMonkey, you want FastReport VCL, click on it. So it takes you down. It always shows you or choose below. But if you know what you need, maybe you don't need web reporting, but you do want full source code, then it brings you to this price. But again, back where we were before, having the Code Rage discount, you can go and see the products in all the different versions, standard, professional, enterprise for some of the products down there with special Code Rage price. Okay, Denis, thank you very much.
Thank you, David.